No, and this one I no play tay. Girl, you know I'm in tay. So tell me what you say, yeah. Bang, bang, lemon.
Welcome to Streetside College by SQL Training Wheels. My name is Walter, and my mission is to get you fully confident and up to speed with SQL and databases. All right, how are we going to do that? Well, in this first little snip here, we're going to take a look at our tools, right? We're going to take a look at the database software we're going to be using to learn this thing called SQL. We also have prepared a sample database that you could download, and that will get you your software as well as the database you're going to be working on in that software. All right, so let's get started. But before, one quick thing to mention that's very, very important to this whole learning process, and that is reggae music. All right, a real important component. We're going to be littering that throughout these videos. So let's go. Let's get this thing started, man. All right, we off to a really good start here. So our first step is to go to this web address. It's called www.sqltrainingwheels.com/3-step. 3, the number 3, STEP. Now that's going to get us our software and the sample database we're going to be working with and learning SQL on. So once you download that quick start guide, you're going to go to the actual PDF, which tells you 3 easy steps of getting this up and installed on your computer. And that's whether you have a Mac or a Windows machine. There is an install that's quick and easy for both operating systems. All right, so here we have both Windows and Mac, and when you click on one of these links here, that's going to take you to the DB browser for SQLite site. Now, what is this DB browser thing? Well, DB browser is the software that's hosting or housing the SQLite databases that we work on. It's simply a software, a database software that allows us to work on a database. All right, there are many different types, but SQLite is a very, very popular and very well used and well known database system, and it's used by a lot of major corporations, Apple, Google, Dropbox, and a slew of others. I mean, I believe it's the most deployed database system in the world right now. So we are off to a really good start, starting our SQL journey on this particular software. Down here to the right, you'll see the appropriate download that you will need for your particular operating system, whether that you have a 32-bit, a 64-bit, or a Mac. You'll go down here to the DMG and you'll download that respective software. With that downloaded, you're going to just follow some really simple instructions, and that's going to be just clicking next till it's actually installed on your system. So that's step 1. Step 2 is actually now getting the provided sample database that we have, and this is the database we're going to be working on. So you would just go here, and this would actually download or take you to where you can download the sample database, and it's the database we are going to be working on to command SQL. All right, so once we do that, we're pretty much ready. We're ready to start diving in. The third step is really just getting familiar with the environment, and let's get familiar together. All right, so with those first 2 steps taken, you would go to your start menu if you're on a Windows machine. I'm on a Windows machine. If you're on a Mac, you'd want to go to Finder, and you want to go to the same folder that we're looking for here, which is DB browser for SQLite. And once we find that, we click on that, and that's going to pull up our DB browser for SQLite software interface. That's a fancy word, but it's just the default screen that pops up when you start this software up. Now, there's a few things you want to clue in on when you're just navigating here. So to open that sample database, we click on Open Database, and we navigate to where we downloaded that sample database. In my case, it was to the downloads folder, and most likely it would probably be your case too. So you navigate there and you open this database. You select the database file and then you click on open, and that opens the database. And now this area here is populated with what's going on here? What's really happening here? All right. So let's figure out what that is. The database structure tab, that is an important tab, and we're going to take a closer look at what everything else means. This is just our high level flight overview of things. All right. So we want to take a look at the database structure tab because it tells us a lot about the database that we're working in. It tells us about the tables it has, how many tables, the types of columns each table might have, and we're going to take a look in more detail about that. The other tab that is of importance is the one that's called Browse Data, right next to the Database Structure tab. When we click on that, this gives us a little different type of a feature. In the database structure, we see the 6 tables here. Let's just take a note of that. But in the Browse Data, we still see that there's the same 6 tables if I expand this drop down here. And what this Browse Data allows us to do is just take a look at the contents, what's inside of those tables. So if I switch to like bank transaction, I can see what's the columns as well as the contents of those columns in this table. I do that for any given table. So on a high level, let's put that in our left pocket. That's what's going on with the Browse Data tab. The other tab to take a look at is the Execute SQL tab. We can't ignore this one because this is where we're going to be composing our SQL statements, learning about SQL, learning about its power, and how the heck we're going to use this thing. All right. So that's really it. That's it. On a high level, we have all the different components or the most important aspects of this SQLite database software. We know how to get it installed. We know how to access it once it's installed. And let's look out for what's coming next because we're going to take a closer look at everything in a much more detail. All right. Very important, like I mentioned, reggae music, man. Yes.
I've been waiting for you, my lady. I'll be on my way to you soon. All through night and morning, don't leave me. Call your work and tell them about noon. Hey, I've been thinking about you daily. Putting you in positions that drive you crazy. My provisions stack up, it accumulating. See what you're facing.